What's going on, guys? So I have my medical report. I saw a doctor today after the scan that I got the other week. You guys know that from that scan, I'd mentioned that I had a subscapularis injury, and the sonographer at the time had said, "Oh, it looks like it's maybe 2/3 torn," sort of thing. Well, anyway, we got an accurate report today after specialists have gone through the images, and I'm going to read it and kind of tell you what I think about it, tell you what my gut feel is, and where we're going to go. So anyway, so my official report here. All right. So, Mr. Ryan Bowen. Yeah. Shoulder, upper arm, right. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Referring doctor, yada, yada, yada. The exam was an ultrasound on the right shoulder. Clinical history said pain. Findings, okay. The important parts. The biceps tendon is in its normal position, but there are signs of a fairly complex bicipital effusion around it. So, swelling. A lot of fluid, a lot of swelling around the bicep tendon. I knew that. That's okay. Full thickness anterior subscapularis tendon tear, measuring 7 by 12 millimeters. Now, that when I heard the words full thickness tear, I was like, hang on, well, how is it? Does that mean it's not attached? No, so it's still attached. Okay, to make sense of it, imagine a rope, and a rope is normally all unified fibers, but imagine sticking a pen through the rope that's 12 by 7 millimeters. That's kind of what's going on. You got split fibers holding on at the moment. So, but the tear goes all the way through with a 7 by 12 millimeter measurement width to it. Normal contours otherwise. No further tears seen. There is bursitis with impingement, a normal AC joint, glenohumeral joint effusion is seen, and there are signs of Hill-Sachs fractures with cortical irregularity of the posterolateral aspect of the humeral head. So I needed to ask a few questions about that and do some Googling. So they said that usually happens when someone dislocates their shoulder, and what it is the head of the humerus in the ball joint or the socket. Usually they say it dislocates, and as it levers against the socket, the socket crunches down into and fractures the head of the humerus. They asked me have I ever dislocated my arm. I said no. I said arm wrestling though I do get here all the time where I'm fully maximal joint lock and externally rotated, and I spend a lot of time there, so maybe that's what's been going on. But anyway, so I have a fracture in the head of my humerus. Happy days. And that's it for the written part of it. And then it just says, in point form, the injuries are a subscapularis tendon tear, bicipital effusion, and intra-articular derangements are likely given the size of the effusion and its appearances. They suggest it can be better assessed with an MRI. So, a more significant injury than I had described. But look, I arm wrestled. I arm wrestled today quite hard with the Powerhouse Club down there on the Gold Coast. I trained yesterday with Rickard Bornman, and felt fine on the table. I trained in the gym. Interestingly, I was very fortunate that as I was walking out of the GP, my physiotherapist, who I've seen for like 11 years, just happened to be walking by, and I said, "Hey, have a look at this." And he has much more of a sense of what arm wrestling is and who I am as a human and what I'm capable of and around my injuries. So we had a good chat, and look, I think that first and foremost, I respect that I can't do any pressing motions. So pressing, anything heavy pressing, and this was very evident to me in the gym this week. Um, Pressing motions are out, so I was doing presses with like a 30 kilos total bench press, just trying to rehab, um, and I could feel that 30 kilos was kind of that sweet spot where it's heavy enough to stimulate the injured area, but not too heavy to cause further damage. Um, Pec flies felt really good for safely stimulating the injury. Um, but as you'll see in the gym yesterday, pull downs, solid. When I do pull ups, solid. If I do dumbbell rows, solid. If I do bicep curls, solid. And obviously everything from the elbow forward, wrist flexion, pronation. I can still train all those things. Now, what it means for me on the table is that you've heard me say it a few times, I have no side pressure. And I really mean that. I have no side pressure because it's too risky. I get pain signals and my body sends pain signals saying something will go wrong if you try to go sideways. Now, there are some, to the lesser trained eye, it looks like I'm going sideways in a lot of circumstances, but I'm really not. I'm just blocking with a presence of my elbow. You can do side pressure, a block with just your elbow, and I might be there blocking whilst containing someone's pronator, yet baiting them to top roll, just so I can, as they go to top roll, I can clamp them down again. So that looks like side pressure, but it's not side pressure through the shoulder. But for the most part, when it comes to pulling someone who's strong, like I pulled a lot of guys today, and there was Fatali Mateo was there amongst the other guys in the Powerhouse Club that have some real horsepower, and I was still able to stop them. And this injury is forcing me to really evolve, or not evolve. It's just I have to work with what I've got, and what I have got is wrist flexion, pronation, wrist rise, drag, and I call it twist, which I think is more than just pronation. Twist is pronation's kind of like what happens with your hand, where twist is what happens with your radius and ulna in my eyes. So like I can use twist still. The problem is I am heavily locked into defensive. Pinning people is really difficult without side pressure. But as Mario said to me the other week when I trained with him, he said that look, if you just don't lose, you're going to win eventually. And this defensive style that I'm talking about does have tremendous endurance, tremendous longevity in the position, and if I'm honest, I'm excited about it because I enjoy the obscurities of sport, the obscurities of anything. I'm always that guy who, if I was designing a video game character, like you know how you can choose points and you got to allocate them to strength and speed and skill and defense and toughness, whatever, all the different attributes that you get in video games. I was always that guy who would like to design a character that was anything but the cookie cutter build. I didn't like to just do what everyone says is the thing you do to win. I'd like to do the obscure thing and say, well, I'm going to win with this and work out a way to do it. So this injury is just kind of like forcing me into that lane for a while. The injury, I believe, will come good. I've got to be careful with it, obviously, but I believe it will come good. The full thickness tear, but like I said, the tendon's still attached. It's just split fibers with a big hole through the middle of it, essentially, where the tear is. I said that the tear's about the size of a grape. To give you some visuals, imagine the size of a grape. Yeah, so it's a pretty big tear, but the fracture on the head of the humerus is an interesting one too. I don't know if it's hard for me to feel that one and to know exactly what that's doing, but I care less about that one than I do the subscap. And the inflammation, the bursitis, I think, look, we can deal with that with some rehab and some anti-inflammatories and all that sort of stuff. But the TB500 and the BB157, two peptides that I'm putting into my shoulder at the moment. Well, the BB157 I'm just putting into subcutaneous. The TB500 I'm putting directly into my injured site. I have used TB500 before very successfully on lesser injuries, and they came good very quickly. So I'm hopeful that that will be the case on this one as well, and it'll come good. But yeah, anyway, that's it. I just wanted to give everyone the update on the injury situation. It's not going to stop me from pulling my next match. But some people might think that's crazy. My doctor certainly does. My doctor doesn't want me to go to the gym at all. Doesn't want me to train at all. But that's what a GP does. They like to wrap everyone in cotton wool. Where, like I said, I saw my physio straight away afterwards, and he was already like, "Yep, cool. Yeah, here's what you can train hard. Here's what you can do this." Yeah, and then as an arm wrestler, I am someone who's has acute and intimate knowledge of my own body. I know I can still pull hard. It's just in a certain style. So I will still pull Andre at Knuckles Up 4. I'll still continue to prepare, and I guess I just have to really declare my hand. I already had, but this forces me to declare my hand even more that I will be dragging and pronating. So, Andre, that's what you're coming up against. Heavy drag and heavy pronate. What you do with that, my friend, we'll see. But yeah, my body weight 93, and more than 93, but 93.95 this morning was what I woke up at, which blew my mind after. But training with Rickard yesterday for 2 hours 45 in the gym is probably the reason why the metabolism was particularly high. But 93.95, I lost 1.3 kilos in that last 24-hour period. So it's flying off me. But that's another subject. So anyway, guys, that's the injury update. Full thickness tear, subscapularis, fractured head of the humerus, and some bursitis on the bicep tendon. I guess.